Hello everyone and welcome to our channel. For those of you who don't know me, I am Jo Norman, also known as Teacup JoJo. I am here to tell you a bit about our group and to tell you a bit of what's happening in 2021. For those of you who have been following us on YouTube, you may have noticed a name change. We are no longer BTC Beyond the Cow. We are now BTC Granny Squares 2021. Beyond the Cow was so named because in 2018 we had a group called Granny Square Cow 2018, and we brought you a pattern for a new Granny Square every single day of 2018. Some days we had 2, and we also had bonus bigger squares each month on YouTube. And for all these things that I'm mentioning, for the groups, for the YouTube channels, there will be links in the description box below. Okay, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you are watching this in the group BTC, then there will be links below as well, hopefully. So yeah, in 2018 we brought you 365 plus squares. I think in all there were getting on towards 400 squares, and we had a fantastic year, and we didn't want to stop. So in 2019 we started the BTC Beyond the Cow group, and in that group we showed you ways to join your squares that you may have made in 2018 or in other groups, or on your own. We showed you ways of joining your squares to make blankets and cushion covers and lots more. We showed you projects that you could make using your squares. So for instance, we showed you how to make a bag using squares. This is just four squares joined together to make this cute little bag. So we showed you how to make things like that, and like I said, how to join your squares, and they're all still on the channel here. If you have a look in the playlist, they're all still there. And we also throughout the year showed you how to make different things. This is why we said beyond, we called it Beyond the Cow. We did lots of different things beyond what we did in the cow in 2018. So we showed you how to make different shapes. We brought you a series of triangles. This is the equivalent of the solid granny square. This is a solid triangle, if you can see that there. We showed you the granny triangle. We showed you lots of pretty triangles as well. We brought you circles and hexagons, and also showed you some ways of joining those and things to do with them. We also did a series on bunting. Had lots of basic and pretty bunting as well. I don't have any here to show you, but again, there's a playlist for those things. And we also had some units where we invited our members to submit a pattern or design of their own. So we made these cute, absolutely gorgeous gnomes, country gnomes by Amy. So this is one that I made, and she also showed us how to make mini ones. Now this is a mini one. He hasn't got his hat. I was commissioned to make a little tiny gnome with a bald head, especially for my husband. He wanted a little one to be his pal, so I made this big one, and then just for him I made this little tiny one to be his little gnome pal, and he feels quite an affinity with it, with the bald head. So we made those, and we also showed you how to make these little stacking marbled baskets, stacking nesting little baskets. Yeah, so that was one of the other projects we showed you. So all of those things and many more. We had We had bobble stitch letters in November. We brought you the whole alphabet of bobble stitches that you could make in a little 6-inch square, and they are so cool. You can make lots of different words and names and just initials from those and use them for such a variety of things. You could do, you know, a big blanket with the whole alphabet, or make words. So we brought you those, and I can't remember what else we brought you. Lots of things. Oh, and also we had a new stitch every week. We had lots of different stitch styles that we brought you, a new stitch each week. So 52 of those, and people were making things like temperature blankets, mood blankets, assigning a different colour to the temperature or their mood. Some people were making small blocks and then joining them together for their blankets. Some people going in rows, a whole variety of things. Some people just taking 1 or 2 stitches that they really liked and then making a whole blanket out of that. And for all of these things, there are albums in the group where we love to see what our members have made. So if you are in the group and you haven't put any photos in those albums of what you've made from our group, then please do. We absolutely love to see what people are making, and we love to see that people are enjoying what we're bringing to you. So do go and have a look at those albums. Facebook introduced a new thing called units. So we have all those different topics in units. So for instance, unit 1 is the 52 weeks of stitches, and then we have unit 2, which is different ways to join your squares. Unit 3 is things to make with your squares, and then so on and so on. There's a different unit for the bunting, a different unit for the member makes, member designs, and so on. So do have a look at those and check out what we did in 2019. We don't want to remove those from the group because there's some really great content there. And likewise for the 2018 group, we've purposely left it just as the 2018 group and moved on to a new group because there is a lot of content there. Like I said, there's more than 365 patterns. And it was a very busy group and we loved it. We absolutely loved it. So, but we just thought it would be good to keep it as just that year of squares. And, you know, they're always going to be there. You can go and have a look at that. You can still do those squares. This year, you could start from the 1st of January and you could do one of those squares each day. Absolutely. And there are albums in that group too, that you can pop your photos in. Many of us who are admin and moderators in BTC group are also admin and moderators in the 2018 group. So we will see what you've done. We move between groups and we check out your messages, and we do like to see what's going on. So we haven't abandoned 2018 group. We're just moving on beyond that Cal. And the reason for the name change, well, BTC did originally does officially stand for Beyond the Cal. So beyond the 2018 Cal. But now that we're going back to Granny Squares, we decided that, if you like, you could call it Back to Crocheting Granny Squares 2021. So we've just left it at BTC because if not, it would just be a very long title and a bit of a mouthful. Talking of mouthful, it's time to have a sip of tea. So what's happening this year? Let me tell you what's happening in 2021. Well, firstly, 2020 has been quite a year, hasn't it? We didn't do anything in the group during 2020. We'd worked really hard during 2018 and 2019, and we just needed to have a break. Quite honestly, we just needed to have a break. 2020, quite a year. And for just about everybody, there has been lockdown, quarantine, various things happening. So partway through 2020, a few of us were chatting and decided, you know what, let's make good use of this lockdown, quarantine time. Let's make use of this time we've got on our hands and let's do something ready for 2021. Let's give people something to look forward to. and unusually so, we had the time to plan. 2018 and 2019 were quite rushed. We didn't have a huge amount of time to prepare, so we were sort of working almost to deadline every single time, which was fine, and we got it done, and we had some amazing teams. So if you're listening to this and you were part of the 2018 or the 2019 team, we owe you a huge thanks. You have all been amazing, and some of you have worked late in the night to get a file ready to go out to group. You've just worked so fabulously, so thank you to everybody who has been part of either of those two teams. The 2021, we've kind of got an amalgamation of those two teams. Some people have left, some people have come back. So if you are part of the 2021 team, thank you, and we're really pleased to have you on our team. And for those of you that have come back after having a break from the team, then it's really good to have you back too. So thank you for that. It's great. We do have a really good team of testers, moderators, admin. Your admin for this year, you will see in the group information, is Leah Foreman, Chris Cox and myself. We are your admins, and then there's also a list of the moderators in the about info as well, so you can have a look at those. And then we've got lots of people as well on our team who have been working hard to bring you squares ready for 2021. So you all deserve a really big thank you. And thank you to our members who have stuck by us since 2018. Some of you are still with us now, and hopefully we'll have more joining us. And it's always lovely when you interact with us on in our Facebook group or here on YouTube. It's lovely. We kind of start to recognise members' names when you post regularly, when you show us what you're making. And we love to see your names. We love to start almost getting to know you. You know, we see your name and we recognise it, and it's really nice to sort of have that you know, that connection with you. It's really nice to see. And yeah, so the plan for 2021 is that we are going to be doing granny squares again, but don't fear, we are not repeating any of the granny squares we did in 2018. No, we have been very careful, and when we've been looking for granny squares online, we've been checking back to what we did 2 years ago, and we've been purposely sort of cross-referencing and trying to make sure that we don't have repeats, because they're there in the other group. You can go and find them anytime you like. Yeah, so unless one has slipped through, we've done our homework and they are all new for 2021. So we are not doing 365 this year though. No, one a day is a lot. We decided that we weren't going to aim for that at all. We were going to go in the middle, and so we're going to be bringing you 3 granny squares a week, 2 6-inch squares or smaller squares, and 1 12-inch bigger square. So the aim is on Monday and Wednesday we will be bringing you the smaller squares. On a Friday we'll be bringing you the bigger square. Now I say smaller and bigger because a lot of the patterns are written for using worsted weight yarn or Aran weight, and a 5.5mm hook. So if you're in a country where generally your go-to yarn is DK 8-ply light worsted, if that's your general go-to yarn, then, and a 4.5mm hook, then your squares are not going to come up 6 inches. Okay, so that's why I'm sort of saying smaller squares and larger squares. And likewise, if the pattern for the 12-inch squares states to use worsted, Aran, and 5mm hook, and you're using DK and 4.5mm, your square will not come up to 12 inches. But what we have realised, and what I realised with doing, having a test of some of these squares, is that all of those that say it's a 6-inch square, if you use worsted, Aran, called different things across the world. Why is it not just uniform? But I know that in the UK, to buy Aran weight yarn costs a lot more than using DK yarn. So for me, it's just not feasible to swap to using that for the whole year. So I use DK yarn, and I use my 4.5mm hook, and all of those that say 6 inches, they come up at about 4.5 inches square. Okay, so if I do that for every square that has that in the pattern, then I know that my squares will all be roughly the same size. They won't be 6 inches, but they will be the same 4.5 inch size. And for me, that's absolutely fine. I would rather have them all roughly the same size than worry that they're not 6 inches. Okay. And likewise with the 12-inch, I would rather have, you know, lots of 9.5 inches rather than paying extra to get that other yarn, if you kind of get my gist there. But it's up to you, you know, feel free to do what you want to do. There are no set rules for this. You do what you want to do, and you make it your square, you make it your year. So, what was I going to tell you? Okay, so if you actually want your squares to be 6 inches, but you don't want to get the heavier weight yarn, then there are ways to resize your squares. And equally, if it also depends on tension as well. Some people crochet very tightly, some people crochet very loosely, so that will affect the size of your square as well. There are ways of making your square bigger or smaller. Generally, it's easier to make your square bigger than to make your square smaller. Now, I know lots of you watching this will know that already, but I also know there are lots of beginner crocheters. Lots of people started taking up craft during lockdown in 2020, and so we are aware that there probably are lots of beginners out there who may need a little bit more guidance on what they're doing. Okay, so if you are here as a relatively new beginner, then welcome. We will give you all the assistance you need. You can ask questions in the group about the square. You know, how do I do that stitch? I'm getting a bit confused on, you know, round 4. Ask away. There are lots of people, aside from our team, there are lots of members in the group who will help you as much as possible. So there's no such thing as a stupid question, only the question you don't ask. Okay, not asking a question when you are stuck is more stupid than worrying it's a stupid question. Not that I'm calling anyone stupid, not at all. So ask. If you need help, please ask, and we will do what we can to help you. And if it means that we make a quick video tutorial just to show you that particular method or something, then we will do that. Okay, so it's time to show you a little brief preview of some of the squares we're doing. Now, I have a few here. Let me find some. Okay, so this is one that I had a test of. Nice little cluster stitches in the corners and in the middle. There we go. And then I did this one. This one is kind of candy cane. So like that one. I hope that's showing on the screen. There we go. And then this one, this heart one. We're doing that one. And then this one. Now this is an example of how colour can change your squares quite a lot. So this is a square. All done in one colour, okay? And then if I show you this, this is the same square but change colour, and how different it looks when you change colour during it. And then this is the same square, but I have sized it up to make it 6 inches. So this is the original, just this middle part here, okay, and I've added to it and made it bigger. Okay, so they are the ones that are the smaller squares, and then this is the bigger one. I can get that all on screen. So again, if you changed colour on this, it would make a huge difference to how it looks. Sometimes just having one colour works really, really nicely, and sometimes adding a bit of colour kind of adds to the variety of it. So I did have one that looks like a pie. It looks like a pie, but I can't find where I've put that square, and I would have loved to show you it because it really does look like a pie. The pastry crust of it is raised up and it is fantastic. I'm not going to tell you the name of it though, because you're all going to go and start looking that up before we bring it to you. And I can tell you that's coming in February. That's coming in February. I chose it. To be near my birthday, to have this pie square, but I can't find it. So look out for that in February, not long to go. So we have a big assortment of squares. Some are very simple, some are more complicated, but just work through it. Just take it every stitch at a time. To tell you about the patterns, if you're part of the 2018 group, you will know that every pattern had a file, every square had a file, and we tested those patterns and we made them to be uniformly 6 inches, which, like I said, this year we haven't. So we rewrote those patterns out and we made sure that there were no copyright issues. If any of them were copyrighted, we had permission from the designer. Now, just 1 second, I need to pause the camera. Okay, I'm back. I just needed to have a bit of a cough. So we wrote those patterns out, and we wrote them out in sort of step-by-step format for you, and took step-by-step photos of each round or row. Well, the difference being, for 2021, we have not done that. What we've done, we've opened up to allow us to be able to bring you squares that are copyrighted, that we haven't had to ask permission for, because we are not giving you the pattern, we are giving you the link to the pattern. Okay, so that's the difference, that we're bringing you the link to the pattern. Okay, we've searched the internet, searched blogs and crochet sites, and we have found what we think is a really good mix of squares. Like I said, some quite complex, some a lot simpler, some that look complicated but actually are really quite straightforward when you get going. Okay, as I always say, just take it a stitch and a row at a time. Don't think of the whole picture, just take it one step at a time, one stitch at a time. So in order to enable ourselves to bring you more patterns that mostly are copyrighted, we've made a file, and what we've done in this file is we show you a picture of a square that one of our team have made. Okay, our team have we've gone through all of these patterns, and a member of our team has made the square. So for instance, I did this one, and the ones that I've shown you I did the test on. And what we've done is you'll see our photo in the top of the file, and you'll have a link of where to find that pattern on the internet, where to find that designer's pattern. Okay, and then there will be a section where we give you a little bit of information, and there will be some hints and tips. So we are not rewriting the pattern, we are not changing the pattern at all. Okay, these are copyrighted patterns mostly. So we've kind of, as we've made it, we've kind of worked out, or maybe this bit's a bit tricky, and it might not be fully explained in the pattern. It's sort of taken as a given that you know how to do that stitch, or you know what to do. So I think let me just have a look here. I think this one, where we were changing colour sort of every couple of stitches, I think I put a comment in there about, you know, the easiest best way to make sure that you don't see much of your carried yarn. And we're just giving you little hints and tips along the way, really, of how we found the pattern to be. Not every file will have hints and tips in. If it was a really straightforward square, then we might just leave it as just basic information. But there will be hints and tips in some of them of what to do, how to, you know, do this tricky, like I said, colour changes, or, you know, maybe one round includes front post, back post stitches, and it might just give you a hint on that. I'm just looking to see what I've got here. If I had that pie square, I'd be able to give you an illustration of what I'm talking about. But anyway, so the file will be a picture of the square. There will be a link to the website to find the pattern, and there will be maybe a few hints and tips or a little bit of information about it below. Okay, so what I will say to you is most of these squares do have copyright, so you will not be able to share those patterns outright with other people. You can share the link, but you won't be able to sort of share the whole pattern with people. Okay, so just be aware that they are mostly copyrighted, and you'll need to look on each website, each pattern. The designer will say or state how their copyright works. So some designers will say, you know, do not share the pattern, only share the link, which is what we're doing, which is why it's fine. What we're doing this year is fine, because we are just sharing the link, and in fact, you know, we're sending you to their page, so for them that's a win-win. But also some designers do say that you're not allowed to sell anything you make with their pattern. So just check their copyright info. Okay, that's all we're saying, is check their copyright info, and please honour their request. So also different to 2018 and 2019, we will not have a tutorial video every day. Because they're copyrighted, we are not able to do that. Some designers do have their own video tutorial, either on their web page with the pattern or on YouTube. And where we have found that they have a pattern, a tutorial, we have put a link in the file for that video as well. Okay. There are one or two designers that we have permission from to video their squares. So where that happens, we will also put a link in the file to the video, which will be on this channel. Okay, it'll be on our channel, just as we've done in the past. So where we are able to video a tutorial, we will do. We know many of you are visual and you like those tutorials, especially if you're beginners. But that's where I say, if you're a beginner, just ask questions. We will help you as much as possible. And if it means that we need to video a very, very tiny section of that square, then we will do that if we need to. Okay. What else was I going to tell you? I'm going to wrap this up in just a moment. But there was something else I was going to tell you about the videos. Oh yes. So talking about the resizing, making squares bigger. So from this to this. And even to go down smaller. What we're doing is I will be filming a tutorial and talking to you about how you can do that, and hopefully we will have a file that explains that as well. So if you prefer the written to video, then that'll be there too, but it's not quite ready yet. And we will be bringing you videos, tutorials of various stitches. So I mentioned a back post stitch earlier. You might not know what that is. You might think, what's that? Well, I will be doing some tutorial videos, which will mostly, those tutorial for various stitches and techniques will mostly be on my own channel, which is Teacup JoJo Creates. I'll pop a link below as well. most of those tutorials will be on my channel. If I do anything related to specific squares, they will be on this channel. If it's to do with squares and things we're doing in BTC group, they will be on this channel. But if they are basic crochet tutorials, then they will be on my channel. But we will always give you the link in the group so that you can find them. Okay, you haven't got to sort of wonder where they are. We will always pop links in the Facebook group. So if you've been following us just here on YouTube and not part of the Facebook group, then there will be a link to the Facebook group below. I will also have a link to the Granny Square group from 2018, and I'll pop a link to their YouTube as well. The 2018 YouTube channel has changed name. Catherine, who is one of the admins in the 2018 group, kindly let us use her YouTube channel for the year. But she has now changed her YouTube channel back to her own name, which is Catluvs Crochet. So when you go to that, don't be misled to thinking that that's the wrong YouTube. Catluvs Crochet is, or was formerly called, 2018 Granny Square Cal, and all of those patterns are there. If you go to the playlists, you'll see January, February, March, and YouTube bonuses as well. Okay, and there's some how-to videos there from me as well. So I will put all the links below so you can go and have a look at the Facebook channel, Facebook groups, the YouTube channels, and hopefully come and join us on Facebook at BTC Granny Squares 2021. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube, then please do that, and you will see anything we pop up, and to my channel as well for those tutorials. So we can't wait to be crocheting with you again for 2021, and we hope you're looking forward to it too. If you want anything to keep you going in the meantime, we had a game yesterday on the 28th, yesterday or the day before, on the 28th of December, and we had 2 Granny Square games where we made some random colour granny squares, all by the throw of a dice. So if you fancy a little bit of something to get you going, go and have a look at those games in BTC group. Go and have a look at those and watch the live videos back. It was live, but they're just videos now. So go have a look at those, make some granny squares with random colours, pop your pictures in the album, and get yourself ready for 2021. 3 granny squares a week, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and they will be posted at a particular time of day. They might not always be posted at exactly the same time. So for you, it might be moving into Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, or for you, it might not be quite Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But that's what we're doing. Keep your eyes out for what's happening, and we can't wait for an exciting 2021. Let's have a brilliant year. COVID is going to be with us for a while, but let's just enjoy what we can enjoy together, which is crocheting some beautiful, beautiful squares. We'll see you soon. Bye.